This is Dr. Lam, founder of drlam.com, and today's topic is why does the body become so sensitive and reactive when a person is in adrenal fatigue? The interesting thing about adrenal fatigue is that as the fatigue progresses, the adrenals get weaker and certain symptoms that never happened before start to surface. And these are very convoluted and very difficult symptoms to assess because they are very general. One of these is the sensitivity to reactions and reactions to, for example, medications, supplements, chemicals, and even the air around you that can be polluted. Now, normally, these people, the same people, will not feel the difference when they're exposed to these environments. But when they have adrenal fatigue, they tend to be much more sensitive. And we don't know all the reasons, but we suspect that receptor site dysfunction that could be tied into liver congestion, could be tied into extracellular matrix pollution, as well as mitochondrial diseases can play a part. You see, the higher the stage of adrenal fatigue one is in, the more weak and the more fragile the body is in. At that point, the body is unable to clear metabolites that is accumulating. And the body's metabolic load therefore rises, and it often is vibrating because of its nature. So when stress comes along, or exposure to toxic chemicals such as perfumes, gasoline, industrial waste, lighting, fluorescent lights, for example, these can all trigger nothing in a normal person. But in a person with adrenal fatigue, it tends to amplify the response. So we see things commonly, complaints such as fatigue, brain fog, anxiety, shortness of breath, and very, very unusual responses to food, chemical sensitivities are very, very common. So receptor site problem is one of the things that we think about, but it's really much more than that. You have to take a step back and look at what is really going on, why the body is so unhappy. And when you have an adrenal fatigue, it's almost like a body is already very weak. And when you add more burden, and the burden may be a good burden, it could be just some vitamin C or some vitamin B, but because the body is so fragile, it cannot not only able to accept the vitamins, but the metabolites of these compounds, even though they are natural, can be problematic. So it's very common occurrence, and fortunately there are ways to deal with it, but at the same time, you don't want to take it for granted because oftentimes it will get worse if it is not turned around. I hope you've enjoyed this video. For more information on this topic, head over to drlam.com, where I have written over 1,000 articles to help educate people. You can also call me at 626-571-1234 for more information on adrenal fatigue and how to navigate it. Finally, if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.